Troy gets hammered. Daniel gets fight clubbed. Nick learns a thing or two about explosives. And Alicia, Strand, and Maddie do their best Land of the Lost impression. You know, it's kind of like leaving the farm after season 2 of The Walking Dead. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this. It's the season finale of Fear the Walking Dead. Season 3, episodes 15 and 16. Things Bad Begun and Sleigh Ride. Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition met the greatest earthquake ever known. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this review of Fear the Walking Dead, our final of the season. So yes, of course, spoilers are abound. So, I really liked this episode. I really did. There's a lot of things that didn't surprise me. You know, the whole fall of the dam and everything and that kind of wrap up. I was expecting that that's where they were going. But I really liked the pacing that was set up in this episode. I liked a lot of the actions. I mean, it was engaging. There was movement. There was real strong interaction. And I think that's something that's felt kind of missing throughout the rest of this. Like I said, it was very much like the farm season. They got to the ranch and they piddled around the ranch and they created a bunch of drama to sort of extend things. And it's like, here we got a lot of the action and payoff. So, you know, I am hopeful. I am very excited about the way that things sort of wrapped up with this episode. And one of the things that struck me right away is them getting right to the point, having Nick and Troy immediately find out, suss out Proctor John's plans and run out to warn the dam. And yes, I have often said that they rush things a lot. And you're probably like, Darren, but that was a quick thing. Aren't you upset? No, that is something that should go quickly. Find the information, get to it, because then they get to spend basically the whole rest of that episode and the next one doing the whole dam situation. They were focusing their time on the more interesting stuff as opposed to 20 minutes of them bounding around inside the trading outpost before they finally learn the information. And at that point, you also don't have anything for Maddie and Strand and them to do except twiddle their thumbs until the action begins. So this way it moves everything rather quickly, and I did really enjoy that. So our new main villain that we're introduced to tonight is, of course, Proctor John, leader of the Proctors, the big dangerous gang that runs the outpost, or the trading post, and apparently a whole lot more. There were some good and bad points. I liked the new bad guy who was definitely scary, definitely dangerous, in a way kind of smooth talking and yet very direct with what he means. The whole surgery bit, I have to say, did kind of throw me off. Just on the idea of pulling Alicia in as just a new person there, I guess because she was cute. Would probably be my guess why the doctor really pulled her in, since her assisting wasn't really much more than chatting with John. But even that kind of idea, I mean, one, that he's got the injury going in for the surgery, okay, that's one thing. Without anesthetic, look, that always annoys me. I don't care how tough you are. If you hit a nerve, you hit something painful, you're going to jerk in response. That's just reaction. You can't control it. And one person talking and distracting you isn't going to do it. Especially the way the doctor was fishing around all in there. I mean, it sounded painful. Plus the idea of him then immediately recovering and being able to walk to the dam and go... That kind of annoyed me. I don't know if that was something really necessary outside of just an excuse to get Alicia connected to him and thus bring her to the dam. And that was one thing that did kind of annoy me a little bit. But not the ambush at the beginning. I have to say, just before I move on, with Alicia and her friend, when they're going on, I mean, I thought they were going to be together a little bit longer. I guess the way things end, we could possibly run back, but the whole ambush. Thank you. I have been wondering, especially all of this season and all the travel around the roads, why are there no roving bands of raiders ambushing and taking over these cars? And so I was really excited to see that finally at least there is some evidence of villainy out there in the world taking advantage of weary travelers, or any travelers as it were. So that was one thing that really kind of actually excited me starting out the episode. But then we have the whole deal that Strand has set up, which again, not a surprise. It was pretty much spelled out at the end of last episode. But they're moving on. They're setting up their soldiers, drug soldiers, apparently, from what Nick does. The very gross opening. I did love the shopping carts full of walker heads. And I was also curious if that was where they got the adrenal glands that Nick and Troy were snacking on last week. That'd be nasty. But they do hit one point on this that they never really revisit, and that kind of disappointed me. The idea that we have these like zombie drugged soldiers that have like a super high and they could go longer and work harder and they don't need to eat as much. And I mean that was a great idea. Unfortunately, when we had the assault on the dam itself, we really didn't see any evidence of that. No super strength, no really push, no... I mean, I'm not sure how they could really describe that outside of maybe having some people shot a few times and then pushing through it before they collapse and die. But that was one little thing that I was hoping might kind of come up on the dam and then just really sort of petered out. I guess you could say sort of the theme of really both of these episodes really kind of hammered down in the second one. Sorry. Hammered, is the idea of family and of loss and of moving on. Basically, we have all of those kind of weird Christmas dreams that Maddie is going on throughout all of the second episode. And it took a while. I was glad at the end where we find out that it's her in her nearly drowned state. That sort of makes sense of where she would be having some of these reflections. Because otherwise, usually when you have flashbacks like that, somebody is dying or injured. There is some reason why their mind is going on. But really, it's peppered through there to exhibit the help of her loss and letting go. We, of course, have the preparations of Christmas and family and holidays that she was talking to Strand about, and yet everything turning, whether it be the expectation of family, and then Alicia's there with Nick, but then it's not Alicia, it's Luciana, and they're looking at Alicia's grave, so we've got the loss of Alicia. And then, of course, we have the second one where we have kind of all the dead people from back at the ranch already going through, and then having the dark chopping apart and attacking each other, how everything falls, and then finally, the massive graveyard starting from the beginning until all of them. Basically, Maddie's idea of losing everything and her fear of losing her family really prevalent. Like she said, everything she has done really since the beginning has been in protection of her family. Now her family has in some ways willingly stepped away from her, and in other ways she has even more pushed away with her actions. So this is, and I think this is where we're going to see Maddie coming up in the next season, alone and learning to live to fight for herself and not just living for the kids and the people around her, for her family. Now she's really going to be quite literally on her own. Daniel, he's having difficulty letting go, and that leads to a very scary interaction with Nick. I mean, we see Daniel trying to find the answers to this and pushing Nick, and we knew this lie of what Troy had done about leading the herd was going to come out. I wasn't really expecting it to come out in this way, and it was an uncomfortable scene, and I think it was intended to do so, in which case it carried out very nicely. Yes, Daniel's going to be a person that can realize when you are lying, and he's also a very good judge of character. He already suspected Troy of causing issues. He really just wanted Nick to confirm it. But I did love Nick's kind of successful lie in a way, where he was finally turned around and told the story, told the truth of what happened, but just changed Jake's and Troy's name in the midst of it. Best lies are always mostly truth. And I thought that was a really cool moment, and I think it sounded effective except for the fact that Daniel pretty much already knew what was up with Troy. Oh, and Troy. You know, I guess this is time to say goodbye. I like the fact that he makes the move to try and save the family. He is Nick's friend. And that whole conversation, also another uncomfortable one, between him and Maddie. You always get the feeling Troy's been hitting on Maddie, right? It's just a little too much, little touch of the hand there by the explosives. But here, this was, this was Nick's, or this was Troy's final little move here, because as soon as Daniel pretty much realizes that it is Troy, the secret's out. That forces Nick that he's going to have to tell, and that leads pretty much to what happened, Maddie taking him out. And I don't think that she was planning to, and I don't think that she would have, except for the fact that Troy was really unrepentant about what he had done, about leading the herd to the ranch. I think that if he'd made some moves about sorry and such beforehand, and I think in some ways if he had been a bit more apologetic, a bit more, it was a horrible thing and I made a mistake, I was angry or something, I think he could have potentially lived through it if there was some sign of evolution, of repentance within him. But I think once he had told Maddie about that, Maddie was already mad enough about the loss of the ranch. Oh, her little Christmas ranch. I think that pretty much, pushed her over the head, over the edge there, taking him out. You can't have, Troy's too much of a random. I mean, I liked some of the moves, and it was true. He was Nick's friend, and that taking out Troy did push the split between her and Nick, because did it right in front of him. I mean, come on. I don't care how protective your kid's going to be. You kill their friend in front of them, it's going to cause issues. I mean, I think Nick had that point because of that in a little following conversation. You're what's dangerous. And I think that was a fair question also, as scary as it was, is would you kill me to save yourself? Because that's really what Nick has seen from his mom lately. And I think that was appropriate in kind of pushing those edges. Again, maturity of family is, part of that is everybody goes their separate ways. For Maddie, she has spent her life protecting her kids. Without her kids there, who is she? But for Nick, the same standing point is in order to grow and be himself, he's going to have to push away from who his parents are, or mom at least. Oh, yes, also in that scene, second fuck of the season. Remember, they're allowed 2 per show per season. So since they just got that, I guess they blew out both their fucks this season in, 3 episodes? Yeah, makes sense. And Victor. Victor. We knew what you were doing. Interesting interaction between him and Maddie when they're talking about killing. And then after his whole scene where he ends up shooting Daniel. Nicely, man. It's like the end of Fight Club. Right to the bottom and right out here. Doesn't kill him, but just totally nasty. Painful looking. And apparently easily recoverable from the way that Daniel was kicking ass not too long after that. But yeah, this is where it all falls apart. But it was cool that Maddie had that discussion with Strand about some point you're going to have to cross that line, you're going to have to kill someone. And then seeing in Strand's panic and reaction that he had made that step. I mean, he didn't actually kill, but I liked also Nick's follow-up there is good. That means that there is hope for you. But yeah, all of his dealings lead to the big dam assault and pretty much wiping out of everyone. See, we lost Troy there, got hammered by Maddie, and then Daniel gets Fight Club there. Then we have Lola running back to find Ephraim, who she didn't know has already been killed. So once she did find him, yeah, she decides to go do a psycho run, and that spells the end of Lola. I didn't like the whole Daniel, I've sensed her loss in the Force. I sense that she's gone. That was kind of unnecessary. I mean, we discover these things. That's part of The Walking Dead. You don't know until you come across the body or the walker or something like that. The whole, I don't know, they've done a big kind of spiritual connection for Daniel, and I don't think that it always works with the show. It always seems to pull me out of it. But that does lead to the giant assault and then the whole bit with the detonator. I love that. I love the fact that Nick steals it from Strand, and Strand thinks that he's got it. I mean, I don't know, maybe sense the weight in your pockets, but you know, Nick's pretty sly with all of that. And that leads to the whole thing, you know, and that was one point where Nick admits that this is his suicide note, which I thought was beautiful. And I thought that he was going to go. In fact, I have to say, the one thing that these episode really did is I was concerned that anyone might die. You know, I thought that it was definitely going to be Strand's point to go. And then there was a point where they're doing the flashbacks for Maddie, and I'm like, God, you know, I didn't think that they would take out Kim Dickens, but maybe this is where she goes. Maybe this is how they really change things up. And then, of course, we had Daniel getting shot. I'm pretty sure he was going to bleed out. But no, he's too tough. And then we had Nick. Thought he was going to blow himself up and die. I mean, maybe not necessarily, but it could be, especially when they did the shot of him splitting the switch and Maddie seeing it from the water's perspective and all of the cracks coming up. I mean, they could definitely have gone that way. Even Alicia at point, there was concern that she was going to be killed. And that was the whole thing with Proctor John. I love that whole point of like, I have to kill you because I'm going to kill your brother, which means I got to kill your mom. And if I got to kill them, then I'm going to have to kill you because I'm not going to be able to trust you anymore. It's good evil logic right there. But what it did is give us a good sense of danger for all of the characters. And that's something that doesn't happen very often. And I thought they did a great job of really pulling that particular feat off. Now, the actual destruction of the dam, again, not unexpected. The whole Zodiac thing did kind of annoy me. I mean, whenever you have, fuel problems, can't stop it. I mean, it's like these convenient hiccups to create tension. And then even when they did seem to go, they didn't seem to be going like quickly away from the dam. They seemed to be like skirting the side. So when it finally blew and then they got caught up in the whole, drainage bit and getting sucked down, that, I don't know, that kind of annoyed me. And when they went through, it did. It totally looked like the old Land of the Lost. I just started humming, Marshall, Will, and Holly. It's exactly what it looked like. Did like Taka and Crazy Dog showing up at the end. That was nice. You know, they're kind of annoying characters. Lately, they're just background. They haven't really been used for that much. So when they decided to leave, I didn't really care. When they did show up, and of course we got Crazy Dog with his military experience and all that, doing it right, I loved it. I thought that was a great return back, giving Nick that moment, giving everyone that chance to get away and to finish up. And then after the dam blew, they just turned around and left, headed back up north. So, like the fact that they showed up, but I'm good with them gone. All right, so just a couple of small things. One, really nice to see Travis again. I mean, it was just for a moment, literally for like a moment, but it did kind of make me happy to see him. Oh, and speaking of Travis, Troy had a line when she was talking with Maddie about that we were just one big blended family. And that caused me to chuckle, just in the idea of that was the original premise of the show, is a blended family encountering the apocalypse. And of course, Travis and Chris are both dead, so it's just the Clark family. So when Troy said that, I was like, is this your kind of reference? Is this how you're making a new blended family? But no, because he's dead. Oh, and Proctor John's big line to Nick there about, civilization is born through violence. Nick saying he'd heard that before. Yeah, I believe that was Jeremiah who had made the exact same statement to him back on a drunken night at the cabin. So, where everything stands leads us to where we're going in next season. Primarily, everyone's separated again. Kind of a yay and nay. It's different this time because Maddie is going to be on her own. As she woken up, cannot find Alicia and Strand near. Now, most likely, everyone is within a reasonable close proximity. I'm going to assume they survived the dam suction through just like Maddie did. But there's going to be that search. Is Maddie going to be on the quest to find her children? Is Alicia going to be with Strand, or are they going to separate the two of them? It's a good pairing together. That would be interesting. And then, of course, we have Nick and Daniel together. Daniel with a attractive new facial scar. Direction-wise, not sure. The big clue might be with Proctor John's discussion of Texas, saying even that Texas had its own electrical grid, or it did, I think was his follow-up on that. But that's where he is sort of setting out his kingdom stretched from Baja to Texas. So that could be a new direction of where we are going next. They certainly done some work to set up Proctor John as an interesting villain, certainly knowing and with already a revenge kick against the Clark family. So that would seem to be an appropriate direction that they go. I would just be happy if they do some movement there. The one theme that they could have been reinforcing throughout this season is that there is no safe refuge. Certainly from the beginning, as they've been kind of constantly moving. It would be a theme that I wish they would reinforce and point out a little bit more. That would make a bit more sense if that was their actual plan. But I do like that kind of idea, as this gets them back on the move. The ranch was boring. Again, it's like the farm. You can't stay in a place you haven't earned that yet. You have to really have them struggling and traveling and encountering things and those types of actions. So hopefully next season they're going to take their time with it, really do some great individualized stories, not rush anything, but find a good goal. Take their time in getting to it and do it in an interesting way that really grabs and engages us. Kind of like this episode here. All right, so that is it for the season. We are all done. And next week, the return of The Walking Dead, Season 8, the 100th episode, All Out War. Every time I see a preview for it, I get super excited. I cannot wait. Hope you're going to join me chatting about without one. Anyway, but that wraps us up for now. We're done. This is it. So if you did enjoy this review, hit the like button. Thoughts, ideas, comments, throw those down in the section below. Did you like this episode? Did it draw you back in? Are you done with Walking Dead, or do you fear the Walking Dead, or do you think, this is a good sign of things to come? Let me know what you guys are thinking. This really invigorated me, so I'm actually a little looking forward to next season. It is guaranteed, possibly a big crossover with The Walking Dead. How's that going to be? We'll have to sort of wait and see how that figures out. Please make it make sense, but if they do head east, there's a lot more possibility of that happening. Now, you can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Darren Jakes. Please be sure to subscribe. You won't miss the Walking Dead reviews. Plus, of course, Dirk Gently's Mr. Robot and Inhumans, which is wrapping up. I don't know. I might have to do The Gifted. Who knows? Anyway, subscribe by hitting this button right here. And I'll go ahead and throw up our latest 2 reviews right here. And you can go ahead and check that out. Dirk Gently and Mr. Robot. Let's do both of the good ones right there. Okay, so that's it for me. I'm D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.